Good afternoon, CJ followers. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Cleared and Connected. I am Katie Keller, the Editorial Communications Manager with ClearanceJobs.com. And today, I see some hard eyes. Today, I'm going to be joined by Rochelle from the Adecco Group, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about their Military Alliance program, which I'm really excited about. Vets and mil spouses that they serve are very near and dear to my heart personally. But Adecco Staffing is actually one of the ClearanceJobs partners, and a lot of their customers utilize the ClearanceJobs platform to fill their cleared needs. So if you have questions throughout the conversation, please do drop them in the comments. We would love to answer those questions for you, whether they're about the Military Alliance program or if they're just generally about military transition tips, tips for mil spouses. I know that mil spouses, when their spouse in active duty does end up, PCSing somewhere, it's tough for them to get jobs. So I'm so happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure as soon as Rochelle joins us, she's going to be very happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. So let me go ahead and try to invite the Adecco group in. Make sure working from home, technical difficulties. Do okay? Hi,
Hi, Katie.
we're live. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for joining me today. I was telling our folks that are watching right now a little bit about our ClearanceJobs relationship with Adecco, but tell us who you are and what you do with Adecco.
So my name is Rochelle Chapman. I am the Senior Manager of Strategic Partnerships for the Adecco Group. I lead two main initiatives for our organization. One is our Military Spouse and Veteran Recruitment Program, which is near and dear to my heart because I am a military spouse. And the other is we're a Team USA, official sponsor of Team USA, and I lead that initiative and sponsorship and program as well.
Very cool. So being a mil spouse, you have a lot of experience, I'm sure, that adds to the Military Alliance program. So why don't you tell us about what that program is and then how your personal experience has helped you in running that?
Okay. So I'm actually going to start with the latter because I'm super proud of this. I just celebrated my 15-year work anniversary with the Adecco Group last week.
Yeah,
So
congrats.
thank you. Thank you. I will take it. As a military spouse, that's hard to come by.
Yeah.
So many of my friends have not been in a position, and they've went to school, they have graduate degrees and are amazing young women and men, and just have a hard time, picking up every 2, 3, 4 years, starting over with their careers. And so to be able to work for an organization that, not only says they're military friendly, but really walks the walk is something I am immensely proud of. I have moved 7 times with the military in the last 15 years. We just PCSed from overseas. So we've been in Belgium the last 3 years, and about 4 weeks ago, we moved back to the US. So it's good
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So to not only, keep my job with this organization for 15 years, but to manage these programs and to be in this role even overseas, again, I think just speaks volumes to our commitment, to military families. So to be able to lead that is just, I have such personal and professional fulfillment in this role, and am extremely proud to work for this organization. So the Adecco Military Alliance program is a recruitment program that is aimed at hiring military families. So we started out 19 years ago, believe it or not. So this was an initiative that was born before I even joined the organization. I'm also super proud of that because in the 15 years I've been with this group, I have, and been a military spouse, I've seen corporate America really rally around hiring veterans. I'm starting to definitely see traffic pick up in the military spouse space, which makes me super happy. But, this is not a bandwagon that we are jumping on. We
Sure.
kind of nailed the wheels to the bandwagon, 19
Mhm.
years ago. And we don't have it all figured out, but we certainly are working hard every day to connect and meet military families where they are. So whether it's through a military base, whether it's through a partnership that we've built,
Mhm.
through a veteran service organization or some military affiliate group, ClearanceJobs,
Mhm.
we're reaching out to military communities, and not just from a recruitment standpoint, Katie. I think this is important too, but that's certainly the kind of our base pillar for this
Mhm.
initiative. But internally, there's a lot we're doing as colleagues to support military families and military communities philanthropically through, volunteerism, um, and a lot we try to do to honor military service, to our own colleagues and within our organization. I started a military spouse ERG 5 years ago. So we have um, a good mentorship program set up where, I'm so passionate about empowering military spouses who want to work, help
Mhm.
them find work, help them keep their job here. um, I know we're probably going to talk about COVID, but I have seen and anticipated so many upsides in the workplace for military spouses because of COVID and so many jobs going remote,
Mhm.
that it's been so fun the last few months. There's not been a lot fun about the last few months, but
Yeah.
it's been fun, to see opportunities finally open up for my community. So that's a little bit about the program. It's just really an initiative, again, that was built almost 20 years ago. We recognize the values and skill sets and benefits of bringing veterans, bringing military spouses into our organization, placing them within our customers and at our client sites. And it's just been wonderful to watch that grow.
Sure. And with COVID, that brings up a couple of good points. First, I'll say I know that with military spouses, they have, like veterans and hiring, trying to encourage companies to hire more vets. They
Mhm.
have an amazing skill set to bring to the table. They have had to be extremely resilient, extremely flexible, multitask like a crazy person.
Mhm.
So that's the first point I wanted to make. But how has COVID, because that's the one thing, they have to transition physically to different locations.
Mhm.
So how has COVID affected both vets and mil spouses in placements?
So early on, I'm talking April. I was on the phone with somebody from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and I said, this is going to be a really good thing for mil spouses
Mm-hmm.
because the world of work is changing. It's been changing, before the pandemic, but this pandemic has really forced organizations to rethink, not just office space, but management. What do teams look like? How do they function? What's needed to set up a home office? Can we still work from home? Can we still be efficient? I've been a remote worker for 8 years, so I feel like I got
Mm-hmm.
this in the bag. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
uh, but what it's done for military spouses in my conversation with HOH was, this is no employers and hiring managers are not going to be hamstrung by where people live.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunities are going to start becoming available with businesses being forced to or choosing to not work in the office space and transitioning a lot of that work home or remote. It's not going to matter where a military spouse lives, and we're still in somewhat the early stages of this. But what we've seen in our company is just that. So many of our openings, businesses are like, don't come here, stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're recruiting for remote roles right, left, and center, which is super. It is the best time to be a military spouse if you are wanting to work and you are looking to work and you want to work from home. That's always been the gold standard for us. Military spouses have had to hustle for their worthiness in the workplace for a really
Right.
long time. And I'm so ready for that to be over. It should not matter where we live. It should not matter, you know, I was able to do this from, another country, for goodness sakes.
Sure.
There's ways to figure it out. And it's been a good forcing function for companies to kind of think a little bit differently. So I think it's great. Right now, I can tell you just internally, we are building a team of 20 military spouse and veteran recruiters. That position is open right now if you're interested.
Apply.
They're remote positions. You can work from anywhere in the U.S., and we are encouraging spouses and veterans, caregivers, even military dependents that are over age 18 to apply. And I'll give reference points to that in a minute. So I think it's been a good thing for military spouses. What I've seen with some veterans, I've seen folks decide to stay in the service, people that were in the process of getting out or thought they were going to get out this year, be a little bit gun shy to transition out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't necessarily surprising to me, but I did see a lot of that. I've seen and I saw in another interview you did, and you're not wrong, that fewer recruiters are using military bases to recruit. We still do. Our program was built on good old grassroots networking at the base level, at the local level. We're a big organization. We have offices all over the country. So many installations are located where our offices are located. So
Sure.
we still believe it's a great way for us to connect locally to military families and to those installations. But it took a minute for a lot of the military bases to figure out, okay, how do we do this virtually? How do we continue to offer our services in this way? And so bases that had never ever done a virtual hiring event are all of a sudden going, how do we host a virtual hiring event?
Mm-hmm.
And they figured it out, and they're doing it. Going back to military spouses for a second, pre-COVID, our unemployment rate was 25% before the pandemic. So this is a problem. You have a large group of people that really want to work and have not been given their fair share, have not been given the opportunities that they certainly deserve. So my dream is that again, COVID would kind of be a forcing functioning to drive that down, and that they would be given more opportunities.
Sure. Would you be able to disclose today a few, partners or clients that you might have right now that you're looking to place veterans and mil spouses with?
I wish I could, Katie.
No
My PR team was like, you can't mention clients' names or customer names. Like, darn it, we have some really good ones. I can tell you that we work with small, medium, massive Fortune 500 companies.
Sure.
Love brands, as we call them, big brands that military families and companies that military families want to work with. And we are we're working with customers all around the country, all around the globe.
Sure.
We're the world's largest workforce solutions company. So whether you are looking for a job, whether you are looking to be upskilled or reskilled, or we've got our toe in education, we've got our toe in professional development and organizational development, career coaching, so many different spaces, not just staffing.
Sure.
That and also in staffing, we are filling roles in just about every industry you can think of,
Sure.
and again around the U.S. So we certainly have opportunities. That's like the biggest takeaway, is we are hiring like crazy. So the jobs are here. We need the people.
Yeah, sure. Well, and that's great to hear, all different shapes and sizes. I know, me personally, I like the smaller companies, the smaller tight-knit teams. So it's nice to hear that you have those types of positions or companies available, but in any industry, especially, since our market is, mainly the security clearance field, that you do have opportunities there.
Yes, absolutely. We have a government services business. It's mainly what they do is put people in jobs that require security clearances.
Sure.
Also, the other great thing about ClearanceJobs is it's definitely a competitive advantage for many of our business lines, not just our government team, because even in positions that don't require a clearance, many of the military professionals in particular that do have a clearance also have the IT skills, and the experience that we're looking for, in other roles. So, can't give you guys enough praise.
Sure. Yeah, same. So how would a veteran or, military spouse get involved in a program like this? What does that process look like?
So if you are a military spouse or a veteran listening or watching live, first of all, thank you for your service. Second, you go to our website, adecousa.com/veterans. And you can check out the page at the bottom of that, actually at the top of the page and the bottom of the page, you can connect with us there. I actually receive every single email or inquiry that comes from that landing page. So if you are looking for a role, send me your name, tell me if you're a spouse or veteran. We want you to self-identify. Send me your resume, and I will be happy to connect you with a recruiter in your market. Also, if you are somebody that is, would be interested in working as a remote recruiter, we want you, like I said before. So also check out that website. And again, send me any inquiries there. Also, let me just give you my personal, I don't mind giving out my personal work email address because I, would love to connect with you personally that way. It's my first name, Rochelle.Chapman, and maybe I can type it in the chat.
Yeah.
At adecogroup.com. So
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that.
yeah.
And thanks for sharing that, we do want you to self-identify. I know that has been an issue in the past where, mainly speaking to military spouses, but veterans as well, sometimes you just don't know. They don't want to self-identify when they're applying. And that's so sad. To me, you should want to, and you should be able to, and you should feel comfortable to.
Mm-hmm. And, I'll say this, I understand why some veterans don't want to self-identify. I would want them to know that it is if you are applying to a job and you've done your research, and hopefully you should, and that organization that you're applying for is a military friendly or veteran friendly organization, right? They've got something on their website that says so. They've earned some kind of award or recognition for being military friendly. They are not asking you for that information for any kind of discriminatory reason whatsoever. They want to track their success. They've got goals. They've got metrics that they're tracking and trying to measure. So it definitely self-identify. Also, I know, in our program and in our system, when you self-identify, you're automatically connected to me these are for internal roles, not contract positions or temp positions. But for internal roles, you're connected to me. I'm the first kind of military representative that you're going to meet at our organization. It's an opportunity for me to connect you with a mentor, to connect to our employee resource group. So oftentimes there are a lot of services that you're going to learn about or be exposed to that you might otherwise not know about or miss because you didn't self-identify at the time of applying. So
that's a great
we always encourage it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. So you mentioned do your research. Would you have any other tips that you could share today for veterans or mil spouses within the job search?
Yeah, I think one of the first things that I tell both really military spouses and veterans that are leaving the service is first and foremost, know your value. You have to know what you are worth. You also have to know, you have to do some serious introspection. You got to know your interests. You need to understand your workplace values. I think the biggest issue that I see with veterans when they leave the service is I don't know what I want to do next. And if you're one of the, some of you know exactly what you want to do. You're in a job in the military, you're leaving, and you want to do that for the government afterwards, and you're set. Good for you. There's still preparation you need to do. Don't get me wrong. But especially for those that are struggling a bit to figure it out, you need to take some time to kind of figure that out. If you can't afford a professional or certified career coach, there are resources out there, free resources. Go to careeronestop.org. They've got an entire section for military spouses and veterans. You can take self-assessments that help you really analyze, dig deep, and figure out, like Katie, you mentioned earlier, I prefer smaller companies. That's kind of an important thing to know. Mm-hmm. Maybe there are certain D&I initiatives that you want to make sure you want to buy into. Well, first understand yourself. I guess that's really second to that. After you've gone through that work of that identity work and figuring out, kind of what you want to do, and don't wait till the last minute to do that. That if you made the decision, you dropped your letter and you've got 12 months to get out of the military, you better start doing some of this work now. Don't even wait until 6 months out. I think people think that's enough time, and oftentimes it's not. Do that work when you figured out, okay, this is my lane, this is the direction that I want to go in. You need to create a top 5 to 10 list of companies that you want to work for. So you want to be a software developer. What are some organizations that match your workplace values, that match the things that are important to you? Do your homework, invest the time in looking at those organizations. Make sure that you're prepared on LinkedIn. You've got a solid profile. Start connecting and networking on LinkedIn with people that either work in those companies. You can quickly do a search on LinkedIn for those organizations. Find people that have the same role that you're applying for. See if you can connect with them. Start a conversation. And that networking piece is important too. A lot of people hate it, but that needs to start well before you're out of the service as well. I always tell military spouses, and this isn't really a job search tip, but it applies too. You got to plug in early. Every single time I have moved, and I just did this here, but when I moved back to the US, I saw 2 girls standing outside my house, kind of talking by the mailbox. And I walked out there and I said, "Hi, I'm Rochelle. I just moved in. It's nice to be here. Do you live around here?" I meet somebody within the first week everywhere I have ever moved. You got to get in early. You can't stay home and wait for people to come to you, wait for opportunities to come to you. You got to, seize the moment, seize the day. We're not around long enough to sit around and wait for things to happen. You got to make them happen.
Well, and you kind of are double prepared, being both a former recruiter and a military spouse. You probably have the networking piece down pat for sure.
Well, I'm always looking to do that better and, dig a little deeper. I'm sure you could teach me a lot, actually.
Oh, hey, we could all teach, each other things, but that's a great segue. We do have amazing networking articles and different job search and career seeking tips for both veterans and military spouses on our news site, news.clearancejobs.com. I did want to ask, since you are a former recruiter, and I love to ask this question because it totally varies between recruiters. It totally varies between industry, company size, I would even say. What would you say is the best time for an active duty service member? How far out should they start applying for new jobs from their transition date? What would your opinion be on that?
Well, you're talking to somebody that, works, this in the staffing industry. You need someone yesterday, right?
Sure.
So if we're going to meet you at a job fair, we're going to meet you online, and you're not ready to work for 6 months, we're going to say you're an amazing candidate, and we definitely are, would like to help you, but come to us when you're out and actually can be employed. Mm-hmm. So that answer is very different from our business than it would be for, another very large corporation. But going back to my previous point, that doesn't mean you sit and wait to network, get your resume straight, be wired tight on interviewing, all those things. You've done the identity piece, all of that. You've got to be solid well before 6 months out. But we need you yesterday.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a common misconception, because the transitioning military personnel that I've spoken with, they'll have a recruiter that says, no, don't start until you're actually out. But they may not be clear on that. Doesn't mean don't start from scratch when you're out. It means do all the legwork and then make that final application when you're finally out.
Yes. And part of that research and part of that legwork, I mentioned earlier, this also is a really great tip. If you're whether you're working with a recruiter or not, as you're getting out, doing the legwork and the research of identifying the top 5 to 10 companies that you want to work for is going to serve you extremely well ahead of time, especially if you're working with a recruiter, because if we have a relationship with a hiring manager at that company that you're interested in, that's one of the biggest benefits of working with a staffing company, workforce solutions company like ours is, that's what we're doing all day long, is building those kinds of networks and relationships. So, use us to leverage our networks to build your own. But it's 10 times easier when you come in the door, call us, and you have a vision, you kind of know a path or a direction. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see spouses make in particular, and veterans to a lesser degree, is they'll say, I'm willing to do anything. I can do everything. And I need you to focus a little bit more, so that we can best help you. It's just, we're setting you up for success if
Sure.
you've, again, done all that legwork of sort of figuring out, what you can do, or what you want to do, rather, not what you can do.
Sure. No, that's a great point, and someone commented a great tip. So thanks for sharing that one as well. But we are running out of time, but I do
Oh,
have my last question that I'd love to ask veterans and military spouses. And since you've been so many cooler places than I've been, what has been your favorite place while your spouse has, been traveling and you've been, working from home? What's the favorite place that you guys have been stationed at?
oh, definitely Belgium.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was amazing. Right before we moved here, um, there were so many countries that you couldn't cross the border into because of the pandemic,
sure.
and things opened up. I'm not kidding you, the week before we left, Katie, and we got in the car and we drove to a place called Wangen, Switzerland. Wengeen. It's one of the most beautiful places I have ever been to. It was like Sound of Music, on
Yeah.
steroids. I mean, it is beautiful, and not too far from our corporate headquarters, which is hilarious. But we had a lot of opportunity to travel overseas, and it was a magical time for my family. We made some amazing friendships there. This is a wonderful lifestyle. It is
Mhm.
adventurous. It has changed my life. It's also extremely challenging, but every bit worth it. And we've always said we're going to keep doing this until it doesn't make sense anymore. So it's made sense so far.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Rochelle. All right, anyone who's just joining in or who has been watching this entire time, thank you for joining us. This is Rochelle from the Adecco Group. In the comments following this, we'll post it to Instagram TV and we'll include all the pertinent information. I'm Katie, Editorial Communications Manager with ClearanceJobs.com. Thanks for joining me, Rochelle. I really appreciate it.
Katie, thanks so much for the opportunity. Have a great night.
All right, happy Wednesday, everyone.
Bye.